Now this is gonna sound bad, but I have to say it because it's the fucking truth. All right. So let's get this camera set up properly. Okay. There is a lot of homelessness problems in this country, but from my experience, I started off being homeless in Arkansas just because that's where I came from, that's where I was born, so that's just where I was at like when it started. I moved up a little bit more to Tennessee. Everybody, when I first went homeless, they were like, you should go to California because they'll give you like stuff or whatever. And I was like, you know what? Looking at it on paper, it does look good. It looks like they'll help you or something. But then when you actually look into it, you realize that they don't help people get off the street. They make a lot more money keeping people homeless than they do putting people in homes. You know, it's just like there's really no point in being there. And then I'd be surrounded by people that are criminals and thieves and all that stuff. So I don't want to be around that. I would rather be by myself, away from everybody. You know what I mean? Um, but I think the difference is that, like in Arkansas or these areas, it really is not tolerated. Like it is not. They will tolerate a small amount. They'll let you, sleep in your car in a parking lot. Um, certain parking lots or whatever, but you're not going to be seeing people sleeping on the side of the road. You're not going to be seeing people sleeping on the benches in the parks. That doesn't happen because, like, if there's a park somewhere and then there's like a neighborhood right next to that park, your neighborhood watch guy is going to come down there with a gun and be like, "Hey, you can leave, or I can call you an ambulance." Because here we don't call the cops; we call you an ambulance. Um, and we only call you an ambulance just as like a courtesy. I mean, a lot of people have the view of like, well, I want to kill them, and then a lot of people have the view of they wouldn't learn anything if they died, so why would I kill them? I'm just gonna hurt them. And I know that sounds super harsh, but that's the mindset that is out here. That's not my mindset. I don't want to kill anybody, but they tolerate it a little bit. They'll let certain people beg at certain intersections and corners and stuff, but as soon as somebody gets out of hand, they'll make that person leave the state, or they will talk to that person and threaten them because they're like, hey, I seen you up here and you're being aggressive towards people, and my 16-year-old daughter drives through here, so you can get the fuck out of town before we have a problem, buddy, because I'm not putting up with it. And listen, I've got this gun and that gun. They'll start shit like they don't care. And they got all their friends with them, so it's not like you're not dealing with one guy, you're dealing with 15 guys. And you're not dealing with the police, you're dealing with just people that just have guns. Like, that's just who you're dealing with. So it's really, really, really not tolerated here. And I watch videos on YouTube and stuff, and sometimes I'll come across like homeless videos of like encampments and stuff where people are camping out in the woods. And I'm like, who's allowing this? A lot of times it is on city property, so that is a lot harder to contain and stuff. But just in general, like those people, when they walk around here, they find a lot of trouble with people. People get mad at them or whatever. And I've seen it because they're the people that they tolerate. You can tell. I see them frequently. They look like they're from here. They wear clothes as if they were from here. They walk like they were from here. But then you have someone come in from Chicago or some shit. They look like they're from fucking Chicago or New York or Florida or Alabama or what the fuck ever. They look like an outsider. They look like they don't belong here. So they go stand on a corner somewhere, and it's a corner that people don't really allow you to beg at. So immediately you're going to have cops being called on you. Just like within 10 seconds of being there, you're going to have like 10 people call the cops on you because you're not supposed to be at that corner, right? So then you find a corner that people are allowed to beg at, and you're going to have two problems. One, the person who normally begs there is not going to be okay with that. They might not have a whole lot they can do about it, so they might not do anything about it. So sometimes I'll see these people standing on those corners, and I'm like, why the fuck are they there? But they never last more than 10, 20 minutes because nobody's going to give them money. You don't look like you're from here. You're not welcome here. Why are you here? Nobody stops and gives them money, so they'll get pissed off and they'll start throwing their sign around and kicking the air and all this other bullshit. Well, that causes even more trouble. Now they call the police and say there's somebody acting crazy on the corner. Police are going to come pick your ass up. So, it's just really, really not tolerated here. Um, Obviously, there's lots of drug addiction, mental health problems, all of that stuff. But honestly, the people that are on drugs are usually in this state are usually in housing. They're usually the ones in housing, and those like me that are part of the working class, we're not on drugs. We're the ones that are living in our cars and that kind of thing. Um, as far as like stealing packages off of people's porches, that really doesn't fly here. Honestly, as a door dasher, sometimes I get nervous going up to someone's door because they say hand it to me and they're not outside, and I have that thought of, what if they accidentally put in the wrong address? What if it was supposed to be 2348, but they put 3248? People do that shit all the time. And I have a heart attack, walking up to a door and they're not out there, because I know that being on someone else's property puts you in like a 95% chance of someone being pissed off at you. And you don't want people who carry guns that are looking for a reason to shoot people to be mad at you. These are hateful people. They want to kill you. Um, so stealing packages and stuff, it's not like you're not gonna like steal a package and the worst that's gonna come of it is they're gonna call the police, or maybe they put like a glitter bomb in the package or something silly like that. No, what's gonna happen is they'll shoot you in the back and then take the charges for shooting you in the back and say, well, you know what, it's a free bed and free meals. Like, why would I care? Now I don't have to go to work, thank you. They're looking for a reason. Okay, don't give them a reason. And a lot of times they'll just call like an ambulance or something. They'll see a sex worker and they'll call an ambulance for her. And like, if she's mentally not okay, the ambulance has to take her to the psych unit. Like, that's just how that goes. So all these other places, they enable the people. I mean, they even give them the drugs themselves. They let them steal, they let them do whatever. But like, it does not happen here. It really doesn't. um, you don't even really have to carry a gun to get people to kind of respect you around here, because I don't carry a gun. And there's been multiple times whenever someone has come up to me and like, they're obviously not from here, and they try to beg for money or something, and the conversation goes from, hey, can I have $1 or something like that, to, don't shoot me please, and they turn flush white, like they actually think I'm going to shoot them. They start like running away half the time. um, that's the environment. You don't just talk to strangers. You don't walk up and talk to strangers. Maybe back in the 90s you could get away with that. Back in the 90s you could go up to a gas station and say, man, I really need $5 to get gas, can you please help me? And you might find some sucker that's willing to do that. But nowadays it's like, no, no, get the fuck off our property. um so on one hand, it's like, I'm glad that they don't tolerate that kind of behavior. But on the other hand, I kind of do wish that they would help more people like myself, because at the same time, they're also a state that is making lots of money off of people being homeless. So the fact that I'm homeless, I'm making them more money, but they don't have to provide me any services, right? In fact, they gatekeep those services away from me and have been for the past couple of years. So they have the money that they're supposed to be giving to me. Like, they're making money, helping me. And then the money that's supposed to help me, they're also taking that. And I don't have any access to that. So, if I was somebody that needed, an ambulance, or I needed the police, the police have to arrest me for this thing or that thing, or I, destroy property or destroy city property or something, that would cost a lot more. And so that, I think that's what they're looking at, is like, if we have somebody out on the street that's like that, we would not be making as much money as having this kid out on the street that doesn't bother anybody, doesn't cost us any money, is just bringing us in money. And then the people who are on drugs, we keep them in housing, and then they're less likely to have the ambulance that's called on them, the police is called on them, and that kind of thing. Um, yeah, I mean, that's really, I know I've talked about it before, about the whole like people coming in from other states thinking that they can get away with begging, and then it just doesn't work, because we know, we can look at you and tell you are not from here. Um, and even the people who are from here, it's not like all those other states where you can make a decent living off of doing that. Here, it's like if you see somebody who's actually begging on the street, you know that if they've eaten in the last 2 days, it was just because somebody like made the wrong order at a local fast food place and gave it to them because the restaurant was like, "Oh, you can keep it." Um, but like in those other places, they can make a straight up living off of it. That's another way that you can tell that they're not from here is because they're not malnourished. They look normal, and I'm looking at them like I'm actually malnourished, and you're asking me for money. How about you go fuck yourself? You know what? If I did have money, I would buy a gun. You know, like what the fuck are you asking me for money for ramen? Like one time I went to this place, I went to a fucking Starbucks of all places, but it was kind of near a bus station, so